Happy Thursday, guys. It's lesson 28, the last lesson for this week. We'll have a test tomorrow. Let's work really hard on it. Now, this lesson, similar to yesterday's lesson, can be done on a whiteboard on my counter rather than the big board in class. Now, maybe I didn't do a great job yesterday. Whatever we put on our whiteboard here on the counter is what you should be putting on the back of your power-up sheets. Okay? It's measuring time in elapsed time. Our new concept says we measure the passage of time by the movement of the earth. A day is the length of time that it takes for the earth to spin around on its axis once. So you see the sun, and then you don't see the sun, you see the moon. That's one day. You get up in the morning, you see the sun, and you see the moon. The earth is spinning, and so every time you see the sun and see the moon, that's one day. We divide the day into 24 equal parts called hours, 24 hours in a day. Each hour is divided into 60 minutes, and each minute is divided into 60 seconds. Okay? Besides spinning on its axis, the Earth also moves around a long journey around the sun. This gives us our seasons. So you'll have summer, fall, winter, and spring. And the reason you have this is because the way you're tipping. When you're tipping towards the sun, you're closer to the sun, you're hotter, that's summer. And as you move farther away, you get fall. That's what we're in right now, a cooler season. And then we'll be tipped away from the sun, so we don't see the sun as much, and it's a lot colder. Okay, that's winter. And then spring, and then so forth. The Earth moves on a long journey around the sun. The time it takes to travel around the sun is a year. It takes the Earth 365 and 1/4. Of course, you can't have a fourth of a day to travel once around the sun. To make the numbers of days in every year a whole number, we have 3 years where it's 365, where we're saving the fourth, saving the fourth, and that's called a common year. Then we have the year where we got 365 days, that's called a leap year. We add 4/4 up, we get one whole extra day. That's a leap year. A year is divided into 12 months. The month of February has 28 days in a common year and 29 in a leap year. 4 months have 30 days, and all the rest have 31 days. These can be found in your reference section if you need to know which month has which days. Otherwise, some people like to count their knuckles. January, 31. February, 28. March, 31. So when you hit your knuckles, it's 31. April, May, June, July, 31. August, 31. September, October, 31. November, December, 31. So you can count your knuckles to be able to figure those out if you want to know how many days are in each month. 7 days in a row is called a week. We may refer to a calendar to see which days of the week a particular day of the month falls on. To identify longer spans of times, we may use the term decade, which equals 10 years, century, centa, which equals 100, and milla, which equals 1,000. Here comes our examples. Your sheet should be divided into 6. I'll put each example on my board and then erase it. Example number 1 says, a century is how many decades? So if a century equals 100 years and a decade equals 10 years, how many groups of 10 do you need to get to 100? 10 times 10 equals 100. So how many groups of 10 do you need? You need 10. That would be your answer. Box it up nice and neat. 10 what? 10 decades. Example number 2. You guys go to your second box. I'll erase my board here. It says, according to the calendar, June 8th, 2014 is what day of the week? So you would follow June 8th, and then you come up. And these S stands for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now you got 2 S's and 2 T's, but you got to know your days of the week in order. So that makes it pretty easy that this is Sunday. What day of the week? All you need for that one is Sunday. Example 2 box, Sunday. All right, now we're going to start talking about elapsed time, which was our objective for today. The time of the day can be shown by a clock. The clock can be either digital or analog. Analog clocks show time with hands that point to the place in a circular number line. An analog clock actually contains 2 number lines in one. One number line is the hours. It has 12 marks, usually numbered, that show the hours of the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you have those going up to 24, but it starts over with 1. The other number line is the minute scale. It has 60 little ticks or small marks, usually numbered, that show the minutes of the hour. The two scales are wrapped into a circle so that the ends are joined. A full day is 24 hours, but the clock only shows 12 of them. So here are your two different kinds of clock. Here's the analog type of clock. You can see that it's got the hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the minutes are those little ticks in there. So when you got to the 1, you would count 5, 10, 15, or quarter after, 20, 25, 30, or half past, 35, 40, 45, or quarter to, 50, 55, and a whole hour. The 24 hours of a day are divided into AM and PM. The 12 AM is called midnight, and the beginning of each day, and the time 12 p.m. is called noon, that's called lunch, at the midpoint of the day. The 12 hours before noon are AM hours, and the 12 hours after noon are the PM hours. We start the time of the day, we usually label it AM and PM to prevent confusion. Alright, now example number 3 on your board. It says the clock shows the time that Rick's first morning class ends. This is the time the class is over. He woke up 2 hours before that time. His lunch period begins 3 hours after that time. What time did he wake up and what time was lunch? So we got to find the time out first and then go back 2 to see when he woke up and go forward 3. So let's count the little hand first. That tells us the hour. 9. 9 what? It looks like it's pointing to the 1, so it would be 9:05. And of course, it's in the morning. It's when class is going on, so it would be AM. 9:05 AM. Now we want to go back 2 hours. To go back 2 hours, you're going to subtract 2. What time did the kid wake up? 7:05. Man, he is sleeping in. I'm usually to school by 6 in the morning. It's 7 o'clock. He's just getting up. So our first answer would be 7 a.m. Now his next class, did it say class or lunch? Lunch happens in 3 hours. So let's start at 9:05 again. And this time, it's 3 hours later. We're going to add 3 hours. So our minutes stay the same. And 9 plus 3 is 12. 12:05, and we've crossed the 12, so we go from AM to PM. So whenever we're working with elapsed time, we got to make sure that we cover those. Now, if they would have added 4 hours, it would have been 13:05. But when you cross the 12, you can't have 13, so we would have said, what comes after 12? 1:05. Well, look forward to that of a lesson coming up. Okay? That was example 3. Go ahead and have that one in your third box. Here comes example number 4, the last one we're going to do today. It says, Raven and her friends attended a movie that was 2 hours and 5 minutes long. It ended at 9:20 p.m. What time did the movie begin? So we got the begin time, plus the time it took for the end time. And the end time was 9:20. And it took 2 hours and 5 minutes. 2 hours and 5 minutes. What was the beginning time? So we need to have a missing number here. In an addition problem. Start time plus 2 hours and 5 minutes equals end time. And anytime we have a missing end, we're going to subtract. So let's start with 9:20, and then let's subtract 2 hours and 5 minutes. We're going to cross out the 2 and make it a 1. 10 minus 5 is 5. 1 minus 0 is 1. And we got 9 minus 2 is 7. The movie started at 7:15. Now, do you go to a movie at 7:15 in the morning? Not usually. So this would be PM. And I gave you a good indication of that when they said it finished at 9:50. So the start time of our movie was 7:15 p.m. Now, once in a while, guys, you're going to have to borrow an hour. And we'll get to that in a future lesson. But if we borrow an hour, we cross out the 9, make it an 8. And we don't bring over a 1. We actually bring over a 6. And we got to add 6 plus 2 equals 8 if we were going to try to subtract that. Okay? That we'll take care of in a future lesson. All right, guys. Elapsed time and was one of the things we were going to use to subtract. The other things, the keys, was 365 days in a normal year, 366 in a leap year, 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 seconds in a minute. All right, we'll take a few more of those kind of problems on our assignment for today.